Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast, Season 2. I'm Paul,
I'm Dave.
and this week we're discussing the third episode of Angel in the Dark. This episode originally... Oh crap, where is it? No, 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 no. No, no, no. No, no, no. This episode originally aired October 19th, 1999, attracting 5.58 million viewers. Now, because I think I forgot to mention it, the last two episodes, the pilot did get 7.47 million, and Lonely Heart got 5.82 million. So it's kind of settled into a groove of about 5.5, maybe a little more million.
Okay, so decent amount of the crowd that followed with Buffy heard about Angel and is jumping over to follow along.
I'll quickly pull up the Buffy numbers for that season, and we'll see how it compares. So it's basically like bang on the same numbers. So like the Buffy episode this week, actually this did a little bit better. Buffy did 5.09 million. But they seem to be hovering around the same kind of numbers. I think they're on the same network still, because at one point they will be on different networks. Yeah, they're both on the WB still, so that would make sense. Anyway, number one movie in America this week, Dave.
Oh, then.
I almost guarantee you will never heard of this movie. I hadn't heard of it.
Was it a change from the last time?
Yes, it is not. It's not Fight Club.
Not from that. Is it at least kind of Halloween oriented with it being around October?
Not even slightly.
Hmm. Narrowing it down with that.
It's.
What?
I'll give you a hint, Dave. It's a rom com.
Oh boy, then I wouldn't have any bloody idea.
Well, I think technically it's supposed to be like a romantic dramedy.
What is it with people trying to make a whole bunch of different things in the one particular movie? Just at least take two concepts and go with it.
So it is a movie called The Best Man. It was directed by Malcolm Lee, who is the cousin of Spike Lee, who I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He's done a bunch of movies. I've never seen it, and I've never heard of it, so I don't know. Alrighty. So, for music this week, number one song, any guesses? 99.
I'm thinking just with the amount of time from last week's one, there wouldn't have been that much of a change, would there? Or did something else knock it out of the first place?
You would be surprised. There is a new number one. It is a song called Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
Okay. Again, most likely I've heard of it and would jog my memory if I heard the music and whatnot playing, but yeah, just with me and remembering artist names and whatnot, I'm not the best.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. Now for video games. Dave, this might be the biggest week we cover in a long time. And there's
Over
only
that.
two games. There's two games, and both of them are bangers.
Yeah, because the last week there was a case of there was a bunch of releases earlier before the episode showed that were fair amount of things, but
Yes.
no, I do kind of remember that year kind of being big. I'm just
So
trying to think which one it might have been.
so the day this episode aired, we got Pokemon Yellow in North America.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a little game you've probably never heard of, you know?
no, it's one of the big bangers. With how long it's been, it might have gone down the list, but it's still staying up there.
Here's the thing, Dave. 3 days later, on the 22nd, Grand Theft Auto 2.
Ooh. Who? Um, no, because that one was that. Why is it that anything before San Andreas, I always get confused which one was which?
2 it's another of the top-down ones. 1 and 2 are both top-down.
Okay, it was with that. It wasn't until around the
3 was the
Third
first one that went
one that
3D.
they switched it around.
Yeah, 3 went 3D with the yeah,
Okay.
but the first couple were all in the top-down perspective.
Hmm.
Yeah, so those were kind of huge releases that came out this week.
Not somewhat understandable, though I can only understand the Grand Theft Auto to a certain extent with the older games.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it in a long time, but I feel like GTA 2 probably doesn't hold up now.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure how far it would supposedly be because just with how it was in the beginning, it seemed fairly niche. But then there's also been a lot of other more arcade style games that did have more of that top down perspective for its particular design, just with what technology they had of the day.
I feel like, yeah, no, GTA 2 did quite well. Um,
Hmm.
I know it wasn't like reviewed as well, I don't think, but it did get like a platinum sales in the UK, which is 300,000 units. It did over 100. Yeah, it did quite well, I think. It didn't review that well, though.
Hmm.
Like it got kind of like 7 out of 10 kind of scores kind of from everyone.
Yeah, as it kind of is in most cases.
Yeah. Anyway, let us get into the plot for this episode.
Indeed, 480's Darks.
Um, well, yeah, kind of. Okay, so we start with the young woman who's named Rachel running down a dark alley, looking over her shoulder, but no one's there. Suddenly, a man named Lenny grabs her from behind, threatens her, and slaps her to the ground, telling her he can't take it anymore. Rachel's strung out boyfriend Lenny points a gun at her head and threatens to pull the trigger. Angel kind of appears out of nowhere, grabs his gun hand, knocks his arm, sends the gun flying, and kind of just knocks him out.
Here's the day.
Yes, and then we see standing on a rooftop on a neighboring building, Spike watching on and making some rather making some comments about what he sees in Angel's rescue. It's
Ah,
quite funny.
yes, all the particular comments. I don't remember it all, but the one particular one is just look at my jacket wave in the wind.
He says something. He says that one. I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, "I have to go get some more of that hair gel I love so much." Uh, Spike is really good on this episode.
Ah, so true.
So we see Oz pull up outside of Angel's building. Cordelia prints up an invoice for Rachel, who's their first paying customer. Oz opens the door and walks in. Cordelia is thrilled to see her friend from Sunnydale.
Hmm.
Angel and Oz have their kind of just laconic greeting, which is like,
Hmm.
"Hey, hey." Oz hands out a ring to Angel, who recognizes it as the gem of Amara. Doyle explains that the ring is priceless. It renders the wearer 100% unkillable if he's a vampire, or she's a
Yes.
vampire. Meaning
Yes.
Angel could, among other things, go out into daylight, not have to worry about being staked. Holy water's not an issue. Anything that could
You
hurt him
know,
basically is gone.
be somewhat of a normal person.
Yes. Oz tells Angel that Buffy wanted him to have it. He
Oh,
also says that she's doing good just being Buffy. As the others leave to go to the pub, Angel stays behind to hide the ring under a loose rock in one of the sewer tunnels.
hmm.
All right. The next morning, at the Angel Investigations office, Rachel calls back to say that Lenny was let out on a technicality. Angel promises to come over, but before he can get into his car, Spike attacks him, and they have a fight in a parking garage. Angel defeats Spike before Cordelia and Doyle rush in to back up their friend. Spike recognizes and greets a flustered Cordelia, then threatens Angel one last time before taking off. Worried about his friends, Angel tells Cordelia that she must stay with Doyle in case Spike decides to make her a target,
Hmm.
which will lead to some good nonsense later. Angel meets Rachel at her apartment where he listens to her story and then encourages her to leave Lenny permanently. On a tip from one of Doyle's, let's say, less than trustworthy contacts, Angel chases and corners Spike in a dead end blocked by a chain link fence. Hands locked behind his head, Spike turns and surrenders himself. Suddenly, a white shirted figure whirling a long chain overhead appears from around the corner. Angel finds himself abruptly on his back on the ground, with a heavy chain wrapped around his neck, completely at the mercy of Spike's smiling henchmen. Cordelia and Doyle worry that Angel hasn't checked in a while. Meanwhile, he's suspended from long chains on a ceiling in a warehouse, and Spike introduces him to his captor, Marcus, a master torturer with a taste for children. With classical music playing, the reserved vampire prepares his instruments while Spike recites highlights from Marcus's gruesome deeds in the past. To begin, Marcus inspects Angel inside and out, and then asks, "What does he want?" When Angel is defiant, Marcus steps over to grab this red hot poker and then rams it into his chest or his stomach. I don't remember which.
Yeah, stomach.
Yeah, he keeps on torturing Angel. Yada yada yada. Spike gets pissed and breaks off a stake, threatening to dust Angel if he doesn't talk. Marcus points out that, well, he knows you're not going to do that because you want to know where the ring is, and he's the only one who knows, so fuck off.
It's just Spike is just so impatient.
He is. Angel takes advantage and tells Spike he's an idiot for believing that Marcus, a vampire, has no interest in the Gem of Amara for himself. Which, duh. But he's like, oh no, Marcus is my boy. He's only here because torture and whatever. He's not going to double cross me at all.
Yeah, all the particular things where, on the one hand, it was kind of really? Vampire that has the ability to go out in the day? Maybe not the concern. But then he brings up the reason why he's not too concerned with that sort of thing, since his second love aside from torture, which, ooh.
Yeah, they make some implications. They never come right out and say it, but there's some implications. So Spike decides to go search Angel's apartment, which doesn't really turn up anything. He's confronted by Cordelia and Doyle. Basically, he's like, well, fuck it. You find the ring, or I'll fucking kill Angel. What else? Oh, yeah. So Angel tries to dust Marcus, but Spike ends up stopping that. Spike starts to help with the torture. So Cordelia and Doyle end up finding the Ring of Amara because Doyle, when Cordelia is not looking, uses his demon senses and is immediately able to find it. Claims that it is pure luck because he doesn't want Cordelia to know that he's part demon.
Yeah.
Before sundown, they meet Spike at an appointed spot and demand to see Angel before they reveal where they've stashed the ring. Spike agrees, takes them to where he and Marcus are holding Angel. Basically, Spike admits he has no intention of going through the trade. He's just going to kill everyone. Doyle pulls the ring out of his pocket, throws it on the warehouse floor. Spike races for it. He is forced to duck and roll when Oz smashes through with his van, because Oz was in this episode and we need to use him some more because Oz is good.
Very much so, and again, it makes sense. There's not many other people aside from Doyle and them who are already there that have vehicle.
Well, yeah, and plus, I mean, we've got Seth Green. We may as well get some more screen time from him.
Yeah.
From the driver's side window, Oz holds Spike and Marcus at bay with 2 crossbows until everyone gets in the van. Oz peels out, gets out of there. Spike looks for the ring only to find it having disappeared, and so has Marcus. Marcus is out in the street, walking into direct sunlight without injury. Spike has a fucking hissy fit where he destroys a bunch of shit in the warehouse.
As you do. Well, as Spike does.
Absolutely, he does. Doyle and Cordelia are tending to Angel's injuries. However, he wants to track down Marcus, knowing about his predilection for children, assuming he wouldn't have gone far. Marcus makes his way to a boardwalk where he spots a Cub Scout troop clustered around a vending cart. While Marcus focuses on the children, Oz drives straight down the boardwalk because that seems safe, using the van's speed and bulk to knock the invincible vampire flying. Cordelia shoots Marcus with a crossbow, however, the ring protects him. Doyle then tries beating him back, but is quickly swatted aside. Angel leaps out of the van, bursting into flames the moment sunlight touches him, and tackles Marcus off the pier. They fall into the water below, and in the shade under the boardwalk, the two vampires have a fight. Angel impales Marcus on a beam, but the Gem of Amara protects him, until Angel takes the ring off his finger, and Marcus is dusted. Angel slides the ring onto his own hand and then steps out into the sunlight. That evening, Angel watches the sun set. To Doyle's dismay, Angel has decided not to keep the ring. Angel explains his feeling that the Gem of Amara only appears to be the redemption he seeks, and that keeping it would somehow make him forget about the many people forced to live in darkness, needing a champion to defend them from what seeks to hurt them. Doyle is unconvinced, but sees that Angel is determined to do what he believes to be the right thing. The last sliver of sun disappears. Angel removes the Gem of Amara and smashes it flat with a brick, and this like green energy kind of goes out, and it looks quite good.
Yeah.
Doyle then remembers that Rachel called to say thanks, and that she found a little faith, which is a reference to something that Angel had told her earlier. Angel tells him that he had a pretty good day. He adds, except the bulk of it where I was nearly tortured to death.
Yeah.
Then they leave the rooftop and head down the stairs, and that ends the episode. So what do you think of this episode, Dave?
It turned out fairly good. It was definitely nice to see Spike back with all of his particular shenanigans. And it was a bit interesting with this because with Spike, it always swayed a bit more to the villain threat, how much of a threat level he supposedly has with most things, but he also kind of hangs out with the good guys, kind of little bumbling in certain circumstances. It's not exactly the best correlation, but it's kind of related a little bit to Bowser from Mario and Nintendo with
That's
he
surprisingly
kidnapped the
accurate.
princess and he kidnapped the princess and oh no, all the trouble. But then he goes kart racing with everybody.
And plays like tennis.
Oh, and then of course when he's in the warehouse, one of the particular torture methods was he Marcus takes a gun and shoots out holes in the roof.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Sunlight to burn on Angel, where Spike doesn't know that and kind of stands in a little bit too long and gets his hair a little bit crispy.
Yeah, because he's all pissed off and ranting, and he ends up having his head set on fire because of the sunlight, which is quite good.
um, just with and at the end of the episode when Angel is speaking with Doyle at the end of things, and it's like, thank you very much for coming when you did, because one more red hot poker and I probably would have divulged everything.
He's like, oh, I was going to give everyone up. It was
Just
really
like,
good.
just all that sort of stuff. Just showing that little bit of comedy and whatnot with Angel as well, with all the stuff that he kind of goes through. And it
Yeah.
was a good episode. Nothing tremendously groundbreaking, but still good enough for a nice romp.
Yeah, no, it's a fun standalone episode. It technically is a continuation of a Buffy episode because there was a Buffy episode that aired like I don't remember when Buffy was airing at the time. So there was an episode about the Ring of Amara that had aired just prior to this.
Okay, so
Actually,
cases are.
they aired on the same night,
Uh,
so they kind of like fed into each other, which was quite good.
no, that definitely works with that. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun episode, and well, if you have nothing else about this one, we're gonna have to bring it down a bit for next week. I'm sorry.
It's Angel, so it kind of gets into a bit more darker topics, I'm sure.
So next week we're going to be discussing an episode called "I Fall to Pieces." One of Doyle's visions is going to lead Angel to a woman named Melissa, who is seeking protection from a man who is harassing her. He is a surgeon who has, let's just say, a unique way of keeping his eye on people.
Uh, um,
So until next time,
Go ahead.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.